FM Talk Radio Experience. The Point.
Now at 100.7.
It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. Thank you so much for tuning in. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about, and I'm going to start out real quick with the question of the day. And anybody that can answer this question, I got a $25 gift card you can use at Texas Roadhouse. Obviously, Kevin Cohen just called in late in his show trying to get one. And we'll see if he knows the answer to the question, and if he can answer it, then I might give him one. But here's the question. What is a fixture? What is a fixture? Because we're going to be talking about that a good bit today. Now, don't call in right now. I'm just giving you the heads up with the question. I will ask for you to call in with the answer probably in the next segment, but at least you got a head start there to try to figure out what a fixture is. Because I want to start out talking to everybody's favorite attorney, at least in South Carolina. Mr. Andy On is on the radio, but he's also on the telephone. How you doing, Mr. Andy?
Hey, Frankie. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, you know this is a fine day today.
It is a fine day. Thank goodness it finally warmed up. I'm telling you, I turned 50 last year, and I'm feeling every bit of it.
Yeah.
Had a cold hit, and my old joints can't. I need to get some WD-40 in some of these joints. I'm having a hard time. How you doing?
Now, I was talking to you just a few minutes ago, and there was some music going on. I mean, you were like throwing down in the background.
Man, got to get a little wine on your hair to get the blood flowing in the morning, you know?
Jeez.
Little bloodshot eyes.
Hey, we've got a gorgeous lady also on the line with us.
Who that?
Her name is
Peggy. Hey.
Hey, Miss Peggy.
Is that my bride? That's my bride.
It is.
How you doing, Peggy?
You guys. I'm doing great, Andy. How are you?
Boy, she is really hiding the moment. You know, we got a new puppy for Christmas.
Uh-oh.
My son AJ did. I told AJ it's your dog, but it's our responsibility. So it's a family responsibility, and this is great because most of it's falling on Peggy right now.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna stay out of that, but
that's right. Yeah, but
you're wise, Frankie.
Yes, I am.
Frankie, we wanted to call in and let everybody know about a lunch and learn we've got coming up with the first of the year here, and the new year. Everybody likes to retool what they're doing. You know, the old adage that because change is constant, we must constantly change. We're always trying to, look to improve. And I know that a lot of real estate agents are interested in incorporating their business. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be having a lunch and learn on January 25th. That's a Thursday. It'll start up about 11:30, end around 1, usually from 11:30 to 12. We get everybody registered, and we're actually going to be having a barbecue luncheon, so that's a good thing. So y'all, before we finish up with January is the time where you can kind of kickstart the New Year's resolution to lose weight and everything, but you're allowed some failures. So let that be one of the days you fail on, and come out and have some barbecue with us. But this is going to be at one of Peggy's listings. Peggy's with Exit Palmetto, as you know, and Peggy, tell us a little bit about this listing. This is out in the Chapin area, right?
Right. It's in Westcott Ridge, and the home was built in 2015, so it's basically, a new home. It has been well kept. It is just beautiful. It has extensive trim throughout, and the muted colors, enormous kitchen. It's just beautiful. It's 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, just a little bit over 4,000 square feet. So it's for a person or a family that needs some space.
Mm-hmm.
it's right there in Westcott Ridge, and Westcott Ridge has a beautiful pool area, a nice amenity for their residents, and then it's close to the interstate. You can jump out of that neighborhood and get right to the interstate and get on with your busy day.
That's
and I think you're Chapin schools, aren't you, Peggy?
Mm.
It is Chapin. Well, and the great thing about Chapin too, once you're in the high school age, you've got school of choice, and for those of us like where we live, way out at the very end of Chapin. Choosing Chapin is the best option just for location.
Yeah.
But where this neighborhood is, it just puts you close to Irmo. It puts you close to Dutch Fork. So since we have school of choice, you're right there by the Spring Hill and the Cape Center. So it's well located if if you have a student that is going to consider different options just than the Chapin schools.
Awesome. What kind of price range is that?
We've got it listed at $325.
Really? That sounds awfully good to be in Westcott.
Yeah, it's priced well, and I tell you, I've been in the house. It's beautiful.
I bet.
It's like a museum in there. The owners have done a super job maintaining it. So, but that'd be a great opportunity for agents to come out and preview it. And during the lunch and learn, Peggy, give folks your cell phone number they can call if they'd like to set up a showing.
Well, I am easy to reach. My number is 803-920-9124. That's 803-920-9124. You can text me, email me, Facebook. I'm on Facebook under Peggy On. And you can email me. My email is onthemove, aunthemove@gmail.com.
I love that. On the move.
I want to say I came up with it. I think I did. I'm not sure.
That's
awesome. Goodness.
But Frankie, let me tell you, this is an important topic for agents to come to. Everybody, they hear on TV, if you get incorporated, there's no liability. I don't have to worry about anything. I can go do what I want to do. That's not the case. And particularly when you are a real estate licensee licensed under LLR, there are a lot of unique issues that come into play when you're dealing with incorporation. So not saying you shouldn't incorporate, but I'm saying you need to understand and go in eyes wide open when you incorporate and understand that it could affect your E&O coverage, that it may not be compliant with the law if you're doing business in a way that you're not licensed. So we're going to be talking about those issues in detail. Very important for the real estate professional that's serious about taking their business to another level this year, and they're looking to do something with incorporation to get there.
And
we appreciate the opportunity to be on today, buddy, okay?
Also, how can we RSVP, or do we need
Call Carol here in my office, 744-0824, 744-0824. Speak with Carol. She's our marketing assistant, and she'll put you down. That way we know how many chicken legs we need to bring. Okay?
Sounds good. Peggy, have a great day, my dear.
Thank you, Frankie.
Thanks, Frankie.
Y'all be good.
See you.
All right, that's our first segment, and we'll be right back. Remember, we need to know what a fixture is. Be right back with Success in Real Estate.
At 1470 AM.
And now, the Mortgage Update with Erica Hill West on Success in Real Estate.
All right, good morning and welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser here in town. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. And, we want to make sure we provide you with every bit of information that you need to have to make a successful decision if you're buying or selling real estate. That's what we love to do. So we bring on our experts to make sure we have good information also. We talked to Andy On. He's an attorney here in town in the first segment. But right now we got Erica West on the line with Lending Path Mortgage. How you doing, Miss Erica?
I am awesome. How are you, Frankie?
You know it's a fine day. And now it's a little rainy, but I think it's going to cool off again.
I know.
So, we got to get that second week of winter in. So
I know, and then we'll be done, hopefully.
Yep. Yep. We'll be right on to summertime. But
So, you know the question that you've been asking me for weeks and weeks and weeks
which one?
about interest rates?
Yes.
They're going up.
Yeah, buddy. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, buddy. They're going up. So, all you on the fencers, this is the right time.
Yep. So what are we looking at now?
Oh, we are in the fours.
So it's still
We're in
not
the fours.
bad at all.
No, but they're going up. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think people just need to be aware that those are still great rates. But even, going from 3.875 to 4.3 or what have you, it is going to change payment, and it may, depending on how close your debt to income is, it can affect how much you qualify for. And those are important factors. So anybody that has been pre-qualified in the last 6 months that has not purchased, you need to reach out to your lender if they have not reached out to you to let you know that your pre-qualification needs to be reevaluated.
Yep.
That's a big concern.
It
The
is.
second thing that I was going to talk to you about is lenders and bankers and ask for a lot of financial documentation when you're applying for a mortgage, right? We've talked about this over and over and over again. Please, 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 please do not email your personal information to your lender. It is not secure.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we have set up online secure places where you can upload directly to a portal that is secure. You have to have a login. You need to be working with institutions that have technology like that, since most things are digital. Please do not email personal and confidential information. And this sometimes can apply to real estate agents.
Yeah.
When you are attaching a copy of an earnest money check to a contract and emailing it to the lender, that may not be the safest way, because that check contains the buyer's account number and their routing number. So we just need to be super, super sensitive about how we're handling people's financial information.
So agents can upload in that portal too?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a little bit easier. I know that there are things that we can't prevent all financial information from being compromised, because there are people out there that just, instead of getting a regular job, spend all day figuring out how they can take all of our information. But we need to do our due diligence to make sure that we're doing the best of our ability to keep that information private.
Try to stay a step ahead.
Try to stay a step ahead. Yep.
And that's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
And, it's sad that, we are where we are, where people make a living ripping off other people. But,
Yes.
but yeah, we got to do the things we can.
Those are my two big things for today. I hope people decide that they want to finally pull the trigger and buy or sell. Selling is a great option right now. Call Frankie.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm going to be talking the rest of the show about there's three main reasons a contract of sale will fall or can fall apart, and obviously not close. And I'm going to be talking about some of these things, but the highest percentage of the time when a deal falls apart is because of financing.
Yeah.
And not that this is necessarily one of the bigger reasons why financing causes it to fall apart, but I do have a question, and I get this question all the time, and it causes a lot of problems. But it's when we start writing in personal property into the contract of sale, especially if they include the fact that they're actually paying for personal property in addition to the real property. What first of all, does that cause a problem with financing?
Well, because then we have to, when it becomes a term of the contract, the lender has to verify all the terms of the contract have been met. If there are items, personal items that are conveying with cost, they're going to verify that the cost in which they're being purchased for is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't want to go through that work. Usually, if personal property conveys at no value, it can be included in the contract. But anything that the buyer will be paying for, that's when it can kind of slip you up. Is that what you've experienced?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm not even a fan of putting personal property in the contract of sale, and we're going to be talking about some of that a little bit later.
Me neither.
But you see that a lot where, you know, and I had this come up again this past week where it's not my buyer, but a buyer made an offer on the house we've got listed, and they wanted to purchase several items, personal property, that was already in the house. And, you know, that makes it very difficult when they're actually paying for it. There's, you know, we can't put in there's no value, or it's being conveyed at no value when they are paying for it. So it kind of creates issues. So how does that, you said there's extra work. What does that work entail? And who has to do that work if we're going to do that?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of parties that are probably going to have to contribute to it, because if, you know, a lot of times as lenders we use stuff like Kelley Blue Book, if it's that kind of thing. So we'd have to find another source that can show us what the value of that item is, which you and I both know is tricky.
Yeah. And really one of the biggest issue, so we don't run out of time, I kind of want to jump straight to it. You know, if you're indicating say you're paying $5,000 for personal property of some sort, then I guess the suggestion is we've increased the value of the house $5,000, or at least that's what I've heard lenders say.
Yes.
And so say I was selling the house for $200,000, then the actual sales price should have been $195, but you bumped it up to $200 just to accommodate the personal property.
It's very complicated, isn't it?
Yes.
What would Andy say? Have you asked him? You know, I think that I've heard before about doing a separate sales addendum, a purchase addendum for this personal property that's not a part of the contract.
Yeah, it should be on a bill of sale. And,
there we go.
And not written up in the contract of sale. But at the same time, that bill of sale is part of the transaction. So technically, it should be included as an addendum to the contract. So, you know, you're still going to see it if we're doing things correctly. Now, is it possible some might not include the bill of sale when you get it? You know, I question that myself. I'm not an attorney, and you're right. We probably need to ask Andy about that.
We need to ask Andy. Yeah, he's the pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are certain things that, you know, it's our job to make the transaction as smooth as possible. But we'd also want to, you know, make sure that we're doing things by the letter of the law as well.
Yeah. You know, and we want to help. We want that buyer to get the house they want. We want the seller to be able to sell their house, but we got to do it legally too. We don't want anybody to get in trouble.
Is there ever an opportunity for you to discuss, you know, kind of the turbulence that can be involved by including that in the purchase contract, and ask them to negotiate that with the seller themselves?
Like after closing or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've done that before.
Okay.
I've done that before. I'm really hesitant to put that bill of sale, because in the bill of sale it states that this bill of sale is contingent on the contract of sale.
Yes.
So I mean that's an addendum, and when you start separating the two and don't provide all the documentation, to me that could be considered dual sets of contracts, which we know is a no-no. But anyway, I just curious to see what your thoughts were. I know personal property tends to create some issues a lot of times, and really it shouldn't even be something necessary, honestly. But
it is, because what the lender's saying is they're assuming that that those personal properties are included in the sales price. Okay. It's not something out of pocket. That's where, you know, there becomes a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And we should talk to Andy and get his opinion about, you know, maybe using different verbiage to see, you know, if it can appease the lender in a different way.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll see if I can reach out. I don't know what Andy's doing this morning. Actually, he did. He said he was getting ready for a trial. But so anyhow, I appreciate you calling in. How can we get in touch with you?
You can reach me on my cell phone, which is 803-528-5019. You can email me at erica@mundingpathmortgage.com, or you can find me on Facebook. Just search for the Mortgage Go-To Gal.
There she is. Thank you so much, Miss Erica. Hope you have a
an
great
awesome
weekend. All righty.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Again, Erica West with Lending Path Mortgage. And if you couldn't get her information, or if you need any legal advice or need some legal help and want to talk to Andy on, you can find both of those guys and gals on our on Facebook, on our website. You can just go to frankiegriffin.com, click on a link there, Real Estate Partners, and you'll see all their information, all their phone numbers, their websites, everything you need to know about them. It's right there. Give them a call. And we knew this was coming, but as Erica said, apparently the rates are now going up, and they're going to do that. And that's not all bad. Honestly, it really isn't. When you look at other things that the interest rates affect, it's a good thing in a lot of ways. But unfortunately, the negative is when you go to buy a house, your payment's going to be a little bit more because the interest rate is a little bit higher. So again, if you're thinking about buying a house, it's time to get off of that fence because they're going up, and there's no way that we can prevent. I mean, they're going to go up. The economy's doing well, and that means it's going up. It's just going to happen. All right. Well, we've probably got about a minute left in this segment, but here's where I want to go from here, or at least when we come back from the break. We're going to talk about some reasons contracts fall apart, and I want to talk about those because if you understand some potential issues going in, then hopefully we can remedy those things before they become a problem, and be able to close, and so everybody will be happy. Now, the question of the day. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to take answers. So anybody who knows the answer, I'm going to give you a $25 gift card to Texas Roadhouse. And boy, that is some good eating there. But the question is, what is a fixture? What is a fixture? Because we're going to be talking about that on the other side. So give us a call, 799-8255. Be right back with Success in Real Estate.
WQXL Columbia.
All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. Friday morning at about 9:34 on Friday morning. Getting ready for the big weekend as always. Love Fridays. It just seems like a fun day. If you got to go to work, at least it's Friday. Got something to look forward to tomorrow, I guess. But anyway, the question of the day, and if you want to call in, the number is 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. And here's the question, what is a fixture? Because that's going to kind of play into some of the things we're going to be talking about the rest of the day. The rest of the show, because, I want to talk about some things that really tend to cause a lot of problems when negotiating and trying to get to closing, and that's usually just the big deal. So let's go to our phone lines, and the first caller is who is that? Greg. How you doing this morning, Greg?
Hey, good morning, Frankie. How you doing?
Oh, this is a fine day today.
Isn't it, though? I enjoy your show every Friday. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate you listening. Thank you. What, do you have an answer for the question?
Yeah, I think it's something attached or screwed in or fixed. I think that's a fixture.
I think you're right on it.
Good.
That's exactly what it is. And, in fact, the technical definition, it says it's personal property that you have either bolted, nailed, screwed, cemented, glued, or other attachment methods. So when you take personal property and attach it to real property, such as a house, then it becomes a fixture. And the reason this is a big deal, because fixtures, according to the contract, are including in the sale of real estate. So if you're the seller and you have things fixed or attached to the house, you need to understand you're leaving that. That's included with the sale. You can't just pull it off the wall when you get ready to move out. So, you ever had any experiences or issues with any of that by chance?
No, but somewhere down the line, I heard that somewhere, and I thought I'd give you a call.
Well, you're absolutely right, Greg, and because of that, I've got a $25 gift certificate to Texas Roadhouse. You ever eaten there?
I have, and I'm looking forward to going again. Thank you.
It is so good. It is just so good. Jeff, who is the manager there, make sure you ask him to come to your table and talk to him. Rough him up a little bit. He needs to get.
I'll tell him you sent me.
He needs to stay on his toes, and but he does an incredible job. And Greg, I can't thank you enough for calling in. By the way, hold on because Brian needs to get all your information so I can send this to you. Okay?
I will. Thanks.
All right, buddy. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. So yeah, there's your answer. A fixture is personal property that you've attached to real property. Now, real property, obviously, in fact, the technical definition of real property would be land and then anything attached to the land. Well, typically a house, when you build a house on the land, then the house becomes real property. And boy, these fixtures can just cause nightmares. And this is something, especially when I'm teaching real estate to those that are looking to get the real estate license. This is something we kind of spend a good amount of time on because it's the one thing that it seems like we don't pay much attention to, but it causes an awful lot of problems, especially when the seller's thinking that they're going to be taking certain things out of the house and the buyer's thinking that those things are going to be staying in the house. So even though we have a ratified, agreed-upon contract, we have two parties not thinking the same. And that's where you start having a lot of problems, and it needs to be corrected and fixed and make sure that we don't have those kind of issues before the house goes under contract. And in fact, I'll just give you a real quick example of one that actually I had to deal with. This was actually probably 2 or 3 years ago, but it's still a good example where I was I was representing a buyer, put an offer on the house. Obviously, it was accepted. And the day before closing, which, I like to do a walkthrough with the buyer, not only the day before, but then the day of, just to make sure that the house is in good condition. It's been cleaned up. The seller didn't tear things up or knock holes in the wall trying to move out. Things like that. Just want to do a little walkthrough before we actually close. And while we were doing the walkthrough, my buyer, it was a single female that was actually buying the house, but she brought to my attention that when we initially looked at the house, and we're making the offer, there was what she called a pot rack hanging from the ceiling in the kitchen. And now, first of all, I guess people hang pots from their ceilings. To me, I've never really quite understood exactly why somebody wanted to do that anyway. I've heard others say that it's decoration. I don't think anybody would want to see my pots hanging from the ceiling. I can't see how that's going to make my kitchen look good at all. But anyway, the way she was describing it, it was screwed in or bolted to the ceiling, a rack that you hang pots on. Well, it was gone. It was no longer here. And honestly, I did not remember seeing it there. The whole time we were in the house, I never. If it was there, then obviously I missed it or didn't pay any attention to it because I did not remember it being there. But the way she was describing it, then that would have been a fixture because it was attached. It was screwed in or bolted in to the ceiling. And so I called the listing agent and asked him about that pot rack, which, and by the way, I will tell you, because I really did not think it was there because I did not remember seeing it there. And one of the things I started doing years ago, and this was one of the first times I've ever actually had to use it, but now I go in and do a little quick video of pretty much all the rooms in the house So, not anything in particular, but in case there's any question about whether something was there or was not there or the condition of something, we can go back and look at that video if there's ever a question about something. Well, we had to do just that. We went and looked at the video, and sure enough, that pot rack was there. It was hanging from the ceiling. So I called the listing agent, and I told him, hey, look, there was a pot rack in the ceiling in the kitchen, and the seller has removed it. And because that was a fixture, according to the contract, it has to stay. And my buyer was insisting that it be brought back and be reinstalled. And in fact, to the point where she said she would not close if they did not bring it back. So, and the listing agent did not recall a pot rack being there either, but I told him, I said, I got a video of it, so I assure you it was there. And so he called the seller, and then he calls me back to say, here's the story on that pot rack. Well, first of all, the reason the seller was selling her house, she had lost her husband recently, and which was the reason she was selling that house. Well, that particular pot rack was handmade by her father some 30-something years prior and was given to her as a wedding gift when she first got married 30-something years ago. And so obviously this pot rack had a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? The value that just for somebody, what in the world? My brain just went fried. What's the name? What am I thinking about, Brian? And the value, something that is invaluable just to you.
An heirloom or a...
well, it's kind of like an heirloom, but not really.
Just to you?
Anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
Moving on. We'll act like we knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, my brain's fried.
Somebody's going to call in and tell me what that value is just to that one person. But anyhow, it'll come to me in a minute. So she said she was not going to bring that pot rack back. But what she would be willing to do, she said the buyer could go out and pick out a brand new pot rack of her choice, and then she would pay for it. The seller would pay for it and pay to have it installed. And of course, I'm thinking, I mean, how sweet is this? We get a brand new one of the buyer's choice, and you're not going to know how this ends until the other side of the break, because obviously we do have to take a break. Give us a call, 799-8255. Be right back with Success in Real Estate.
And 1470 AM.
All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you so much for listening. Love to hear from you if you have any questions, any comments, or if you can help me out with things I don't know, like what do you call value just to a one person, which I cannot believe it has slipped my mind. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments, give me a call, 799-8255. Again, 799-8255. In fact, we've got a caller on the line right now. I think it's Larry. How you doing this morning, Larry?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Frankie.
Well, awesome.
I think the word you're looking for is sentimental value.
There you go. That's it. You
That's
got
the
it.
word?
So, now, how did you just think of that? Because my brain just locked up. Yeah, it has sentimental
My brain
value.
works better than yours.
Yep. Well, that's not saying a lot. I'll just have to be honest with you because, when you get older, it locks up and freezes and stuff like that. But
Tell me about it.
But I can't. But I appreciate you calling in and setting me straight there.
You're welcome.
Thank you, buddy. Have a great day.
You too.
All right. So this pot rack, at least for the seller, had a lot of sentimental value. Thanks to Larry, we now know what we're talking about. Sentimental value. And so anyway, so I go back and explain to my buyer that they're going to buy you a brand new one, and you can pick out any one you want. And my buyer said no, she would not accept that. She wanted the one that was there. which just kind of crushed me, to be honest with you. But then I said, oh, no, wait a minute now. You don't understand. So I explained the whole situation, that particular pot rack was handmade by her father as a wedding gift 30-something years prior, and that she had just lost her husband, which is why she was one of the main reasons she was moving and selling the house to begin with. But and I was shocked at how I thought my buyer was being very cold, and because her exact response to me was, Frankie, that is not my problem. That was what she had to say. And she said that was a fixture. It was attached when we made the offer, and I will not close if she does not bring it back. Now, I got to tell you, I felt awful about this whole thing. But at the same time, my buyer was legally in the right, legally. So I had no choice but to call the other agent and let them know that if she doesn't bring that one back, then the deal, we're not going to close. And it didn't close either. Yeah, and we're talking, this was like a $280,000 transaction that fell apart over a stinking pot rack, for crying out loud. But those kind of things happen, which is why I wanted to just, I spent all this time going through this story for this reason. If you're thinking about selling your house, and in fact, if you are a real estate agent and you're listening to this show, please, 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 when you go to put your house on the market, in fact, before it even goes on the market, you need to walk through the house, room by room, and identify things that, seller, you have no intentions of leaving. You do not want to leave whatever that is. Before the house goes on the market, you need to go ahead and remove it, unattach it. Now, if you cause any damage to a wall or something like that, then you need to make sure you repair all that. Or in some cases, in fact, I'm going to tell you a very common one, or at least you don't see this as often as we used to. But a lot of people, especially that have formal dining rooms, would have very nice and very expensive chandeliers in that dining room. And so often when I see that, obviously the first thing I'm going to ask the seller is, seller, do you have any intentions of removing that chandelier when you leave, or do you plan to leave it here? And so often the seller will say, Frankie, that thing cost a fortune. There's no way I can leave that here, not at the price we're selling this house for. I'm taking that chandelier with me. Okay, well then, seller, if you want to take it, then you need to take it down now before we put the house on the market, and then you obviously need to put something back up in its place. And because once the buyer comes in and sees it and makes their offer, then again, the contract reads, in fact, there's a provision in the contract to sale, at least a local contract we use around here. In fact, it's paragraph 17. It's one of these paragraphs that has no blanks or anything to fill in. So I guess if there's nothing to fill in or add to that provision, for so many people, to include real estate agents, they just don't read some of this stuff. But I'm going to tell you, the first sentence in paragraph 17, it clearly states, this sale includes all fixtures currently attached to or planted on the premises. So, seller, when you agree or accept that offer, anything that was attached when the buyer looked at the property is going to be included with the sale. So you now have to leave it. And it can cause a lot of problems. So when I ask them to take the chandelier down, a lot of times I hear them say, but Frankie, if I take it down now, it just, leaving it there makes that whole room just show so much better. Okay, well, it might show better, but the buyer doesn't care about that. The buyer, if it's not going to be there when I buy it, if I'm the buyer, then what do I care how good it shows when it's there? So things that you want to take, please go ahead and deal with that up front. I will tell you, obviously, some of these flat screen TVs could become an issue. Now, in my opinion, and I'm not an attorney, and I've said that many times, and I'll continue to say it. But some of these flat screen TVs are, in my opinion, considered fixtures. Now, some of them are not. And the reason I say that, some of these flat screen TVs, you can walk over to it and just lift it up off the bracket. Basically, all you got to do is unplug it, and then you can just lift it off the bracket and walk away. Then that TV, then, in my opinion, is personal property. But some of these, the way these brackets are and the way the TV is actually bolted in some manner to the bracket. So you can't just walk up and just pick it up and walk away. You got to unscrew, unbolt, or something to be able to take it loose. And if you're having to do that, then, in my opinion, that's a fixture. So if you don't want to be leaving these TVs, then you better, go ahead and deal with that now. But I'll also tell you, in a lot of cases, if you're going to take the TV off the wall, most buyers, at least the ones I deal with, they're not going to let you just leave the bracket there. If you're going to take the TV, then take the bracket with you. And then you got to repair the damaged walls that the bracket may have caused. And by the time you get through patching, fixing it, repairing it, painting, and in some cases the whole wall, if not the whole room, just to make it look right, the expense that you may, especially if you have to pay somebody else to do it, the expense to do all that, you may find it to be just as cheap or cheaper. Just leave the TV there and go buy you another one where you're moving to. And then you don't have to worry about it. But boy, I tell you, they cause so many problems. And a lot of times, when I was asking Erica earlier, we were talking about personal property. You'd be very surprised, personal property that buyers want. That obviously, now that's not included in the sale. But, a lot of times I'll see certain items in the house that I know is personal property. And I'll tell sellers, I say, look, I know this is personal property, and it would in no way be included or be part of the sale. But seller, I'm telling you now, when a buyer comes in and they see it, because of the way it just fits that room or the decor or whatever, they're going to ask for it. They're going to ask you to leave it. And now, obviously, you don't have to leave it. But as soon as you tell that buyer, no, you cannot have it, now the whole deal turns personal. It's like the buyer gets mad. Well, why not? Well, you don't like me? You got a problem with me? Or, what's going on? Why can't I have it? But I'm seriously, I've just seen so many deals fall apart. I mean, talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're willing to pay for the house. But one of the big reasons, or the main type of personal property that you see that kills deals, believe it or not, are refrigerators. Buyer wants that refrigerator, and the seller says, no, I'm not leaving you my refrigerator. And so you'd have potentially a $200,000 deal that the buyer walks away from over a stinking used refrigerator that may be worth $100 or something like that. We have to try to keep this business deal from turning personal. You don't want your emotions to start dictating what's going to happen next, because when we start making business decisions based on personal feelings and emotions, things are usually not going to go well. But anyway, I know we're out of time right now. I can't thank you enough for listening in. I know things are going to be cooling off, but I know we're going to have a great weekend. If I can help you, please give me a call. Love to help you, especially if you're buying or selling. Go to my website, frankiegriffin.com. Again, www.frankiegriffin.com. There you'll find my phone number, my email, all my information. Look forward to talking to you. Hope you have a great weekend. You've been listening to Success in Real Estate on the Point.